Hello everyone, I'm Captain Logan, and tonight we're going to tell you how we felt about the Penguin pilot. I always feel weird saying pilot because it's not a show that had to have a pilot to then get greenlit, but I like that word better than first episode. But I didn't feel right putting pilot in the title, so I said episode 1. Anyway, we're going to talk about the first episode of The Penguin tonight. It's an 8-episode, I almost want to say 8-issue. It's kind of comic booky, it might as well be. 8-episode miniseries on Max and HBO now, kind of the 11th hour. They decided to move it over to HBO proper, which is really cool and very appropriate. And we're not going to do every episode of this show. We're going to talk about the pilot tonight. We're going to do regular sign flips and give you our non-spoiler review, and then we'll talk some spoilers at the end. But I want to try to, I should never do time limits on this show because it never works out. But I want to say an hour tonight, and then when the whole series is finished, we'll come back and we'll talk much longer about the whole thing and do a full-blown spoiler cast. But with me this evening, first of all, is my son Jayson.
That's me.
Who is probably too young to see this show, but loves the Batman, and I didn't feel right not letting him watch it with me. So there were a couple places where I was like, oh god, this might have been a mistake, but he's all right. He got through it. We'll talk about it. And then we've got Austin the Day Ghost.
I'm just saying that might be a sign he can watch Daredevil. He made it through this show.
You know,
I was gonna say
we got through the minor spoilers. Nobody's gonna be surprised when I say there's a torture scene in the first episode of the show, and we got through that, and I went, okay. I'm gonna finally let him watch Daredevil. And we also have Robert, Why Am I Here Wild?
Ooh.
Hi, Robert. We got into the call, and Robert went, why am I here? And I was like, because you saw this show and I invited you? I don't know. It was touch and go there for a second. I almost hit my eject button.
I accept that.
But he's here in all of his Roberty glory. So this, how we felt about, will be mostly to help folks determine whether or not they ought to watch this show. I imagine a lot of people clicking on this will have already made up their minds and will have already started watching it. But just in case you're on the fence about it, we will do our standard non-spoiler thing. And let's start, because Austin didn't make the last one of these. So, and I always love Austin synopses. So Austin, would you give us a little bit of background and premise for the Penguin spinoff show from HBO?
Yes. So the Penguin, of course, spins off from the Batman, where we pick up with Oswald Soprano as we see him live his life as a gangster. And he's, as we know from that movie...
Are you sure it's not Oswald Scarface?
It might be.
He does have scars on his face.
That would be the ultimate twist. He's not a man, he's a doll at the end of the show, and he's Scarface.
Oh, I didn't mean that Scarface. Remember Scarface?
Remember 1997? This Penguin sure does.
That's great.
Yeah, so Carmine Falcone, of course, died at the end of the Batman, and now the Penguin's here. And
God, spoilers.
I know, right? Gosh. It didn't even open with a previously on segment. It was very disappointing.
No, there's a little like set of news anchor things at the beginning that sort of serves that purpose, though.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. But I was waiting for it. I was like, are they going to do the Peacemaker thing where it's like previously on the Batman?
No, instead they treated it like a tone pass off. Whereas, like, it starts with the melody from the Batman and the score, and it feels a lot more like that movie, and then it, like, transitions
opens with a shot from that movie, too.
Yeah, and then it transitions to, this is what this show is going to feel like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so the show then basically, I mean, I guess it's hard to say, like, I feel like the first 5 minutes is a spoiler if you don't know anything about the show. So what I'll just say is that... it's very like the interpersonal gangster relations, and Penguin's got to kind of balance on the knife's edge of how he's interacting with different people, such as Sophia Falcone and Salvatore Moroni. And he also has like a little Jason Todd Ward character that he hangs out with in the show. And yeah, it's just kind of a lot of that. I said, because Robert, John, and I did a review of this, and I said this show is like watching a master manipulator, but them coming up with it on the fly. And it's like, are you like, do you have this planned out, or are you doing it just in the moment? And I would say that's kind of the show in this first episode.
Yeah, he's a very meticulous dog chasing cars.
Yeah, exactly. Shooting cars.
There is a little bit of that question of how much of certain things are planned out already, or if he just is such a well-oiled machine in the way he operates that he's able to go on the fly, because it kind of just feels like another day at the office.
When he's got like speech level 100, where like he just walks into situations and says things.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I really like. Is I think early on he's talking to one of the people that works under him, and he's like, how many of the drops were we able to save from the flood? And they say 30%. And then he goes to the Falcons who want to shut down.
He says it's 70.
He flips it.
It's so good.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna have a hard time not just getting right into review with this, but yeah, in any more synopsis that we need to throw out, Austin?
Like I said, I feel like a lot of the things you can throw out as a synopsis in this first episode are spoilers, so I don't know like how much we should throw out like immediately.
Just real quick, I'll say just for like the flavor and tone of this and structure and stuff. If you've not watched it yet, it is, you can maybe if you're like me, breathe a breath of fresh air to know that it is a singular character piece, and you're so far anyway. And with the Penguin's name in the title, you can be sure that that's actually going to be who the thing is about, and you're not going to have to sit around and follow 2 or 3 other random supporting characters as they go off on their own adventures to pad out an 8-episode season. One of the big things I had coming out of this, like I went to the theater or something, but finishing this was, how do you even get 8 episodes out of this? Because Colin Farrell is in every scene, and it doesn't waste any time, and it's very meticulously plotted, and so it's again refreshing that it doesn't feel padded out by a bunch of other threads and subplots that you're not going to care about. It is the antithesis of Gotham in a lot of ways, and that is one of those. And I'm going to talk about Gotham a lot tonight, by the way. There's going to be no way around it. But I wanted to mention that, and I also wanted to mention, Austin, if I can steal a point of yours that you mentioned to me when we were talking about this off camera, because I agree with it too, and I had not articulated it as well as you, but I had kind of thought of it, which is this is very much in the same universe and feels like it fits perfectly well in that same world with the Batman. It goes off without a hitch. A week later, like it feels like it doesn't feel like a dumbed down TV thing coming right out of that. And now we just got to go to like sitcomville or like really cheap evening drama or something. But it's a primetime drama or whatever. But it is carving out its own tone also, and that's why I said it kind of passes the tone off from the Batman to this, where there's something a little bit more playful about this show than in the Batman, and I'm excited about potential other spin-offs and things from this, because it would be cool to see a bunch of like this world from a bunch of different point of views, because if the Batman is more or less from Bruce's point of view, even though he's not in every scene the way the Penguin is so far with this, but this is that world but from his lens, and so they all fit together, but it's not exactly the same flavor.
Although the things it has in common with it are very much like, even though Batman's not in every scene literally, he's in like 97% of scenes in that movie. Like, it is still,
that's true,
very much this is our protagonist, we're going to stick with him, and they also both have a song that sums up their protagonist.
Well, and you've seen that movie more than I do, and I was kind of hesitating when I said that, trying to remember like how many scenes don't include him. I feel like there's a little bit of Catwoman going off when he's not around.
There's a little bit, but it's more so you kind of follow her a little bit when she's going after Falcone, but that's a lot of like what the stakes are. Like Batman's trying to get there to stop her, so you're kind of cutting back and forth. It's stuff like that more so than anything.
And another thing you said to me off camera, Austin, is that I really agree with is it is a consummate HBO show.
Oh yeah, they didn't hold back. I was kind of shocked this is allowed to exist.
Well, and not just in the violence, but I was also just thinking, if you were channel flipping, and if this is on HBO proper now, like, is it just on the streaming service, or are they actually airing this?
It's actually airing.
Yeah, it's so cool if it's airing. Because could you imagine if you're channel flipping and you've not seen the Batman and you don't care about comic books, you might still stop and watch this. If like crime dramas and gangster stuff is your thing.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely.
That surprised me about it.
No, it's very inspired by Sopranos and things like that. I don't think it's like a ripoff or anything, but they're definitely fans of that material.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and you know what? Could we make this almost pretentious point about this, Austin? You know how we said when we reviewed the Batman that it was like a potpourri thing, like taking like little elements of every Batman thing you've ever seen and putting all together to make this new fresh thing. You could say the same thing about this in crime dramas.
Yeah. I mean, you're not wrong.
Because, I mean, I was seeing all kinds of stuff. Somebody on Twitter today or yesterday asked me how much, because I'm on Twitter now, and people talk to me there. Somebody was quick plug for that. I'm on X or
You're
Twitter.
Such a hip new kid.
Whatever the hell you want to talk about. Sorry, what?
So you're such like a hip young kid. You're like, I got Twitter now.
Don't you mean X?
I'm back on the X. But it marks the spot. Anyway... But I was talking to somebody there, and they asked me how Breaking Bad it is, and I was like, I mean, there's elements of that too, like you know any especially modern crime drama that you might think of about like an anti-hero or a protagonist that you can't describe as a hero, you know, is in there. Like, is there a little? I mean, name anything, like a little Shield, a little 24. Like, name anything, and you could make an argument for it.
No, exactly.
Who wants to sign flip first? Can we start with Jayson? Especially since you guys have done a review already. Do you mind going first?
Sure, I can do it.
Because you haven't said anything yet, and I think it would be really fun to listen to a 14-year-old who is probably too young to watch the show. Jayson loves the Batman.
Yeah, so the Batman...
And the Penguin, am I right, was your favorite part of that movie?
No.
Oh, I thought okay,
My
but
favorite.
okay, but you liked him a lot.
Yeah, I like him. He's funny. But he doesn't get that much to do in the movie, which is why this is awesome.
Look, I was wrong. I just don't know the difference between L and Law. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry.
No, I do think their adaptation of the Riddler is my favorite thing about that. Movie.
You did say
but
that.
I'm going to say, if you don't know, the Batman is my favorite superhero movie of all time, and so this was very exciting. But I was just, I was a little bit like, okay, but they can't mess this up, right? If they mess this up, then it's like, it's just like, it makes the Batman not special anymore.
Well, big risk putting this between movies.
Yeah.
Because if everybody hated it, that could hurt your box office. Because it's not really the same thing as like a Disney Plus Marvel spinoff where they had a whole bunch of movies before that, and arguably there's still maybe enough, interest and consumer confidence in some of that material that some bad shows might not kill a movie if the advertising is good. That might not be the case after one good movie in a franchise.
People seem to be excited about Sonic 3, and everyone hated Knuckles. So I don't know.
Okay, that's fair.
But I will say one of my favorite things about the Batman...
But this is making a big deal out of its connective tissue between the things. And Knuckles was this cyber... It was just like, if you want to watch Knuckles go throw a bowling ball, then...
I mean, I'm just going to throw out that is my worst thing. I wish this was a Penguin bowling show, personally.
Oh my gosh, he needs to go bowling.
Look, we have 7 episodes. There is every possibility. And if he goes bowling, he will kill someone with a bowling ball.
Yes.
Yeah, he's like, hey, I got a split here.
But one of my favorite things about the movie The Batman is just the overall tone of it. Like, I really like the darker, where it's not afraid to take that bigger step that like Batman Begins in the Dark Knight didn't really do, where there's no blood, right? And it's like it is darker than the series previously before.
Are you being an edgy
And it is
teenager where you're saying it's
Yeah!
better? It's better because there's blood? Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm just
okay.
saying. Stop.
Stop. I'm sorry. Continue.
I'm just saying that I think this is the best world that we've gotten for Batman adaptations. Just in the tone of it, it feels very like No Man's Landy, and just overall, that's one of my favorite things about the movie. And this really builds on it, which I really like, and it takes a certain part of the movie, which is the crime stuff and the gangster or whatever, and drugs or whatever, and then and it takes it on its own thing and makes it a bit darker, and it does it really well. And I think that's probably my best thing, is just overall tone of this is and it does a really good job of making you believe that this is in the same world as the original Batman movie. And then I also like all the even in this, there's so much in this pilot, and I just love how much character stuff they've been able to do in 60 minutes. Like, it's really good. I had a really hard time finding a worst thing, just because this is so good. But I'm gonna say this is it's best thing, worst thing. So this is my worst thing. It's not necessarily like so bad that it's like, and like you can make a case for why it works in the story. But I'm just gonna say
But you have to say something.
Yeah, I gotta say something.
He's fishing.
And I'm not going. We can talk about this more when we get into spoilers.
It's the Penguin. He's fishing.
I'm having a hard time. I'm gonna have a hard time not talking about spoilers, so I'm not going to.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna say my worst thing is Alberto Falcone. I don't like him, and I think he's just all over the place, kind of emotionally, and like that is his thing. But like, it doesn't. I don't know how to explain it. Everyone, there's too many. He's thought of in this world as this very like highly regarded guy. It seems like, at least to like certain characters
he's more
that we
just
talk
the
to.
kid of the big mob boss,
Right? But there are like
now that he's got the ring, everybody's got to kiss it. I don't know that.
Yeah.
And there's a reason that he's concerned people won't respect him. So, I mean, I don't know that you're right about that. I don't know that anybody really does respect him. He's just wondering if it's possible to get there. But people pretend to because he's got power.
That's fair. I also he's just unlikable to me. And I know that that's part of the thing, but
I'm sorry, plot points are always better when you explain them.
I know that's a plot point, that he's unlikable, but I don't.
I mean, it is hard to come up with a worst thing.
Yeah.
You're doing better than I could have.
So you loved it.
I really liked it, yeah.
So Jayson and I just thought of this, and we're hoping to get back to this eventually. I've just got a baby in the house, still a lot of kids, and we haven't had time to start this up again. But Jayson and I were doing a commentary show called The Pilot Show, and we were focused on TV pilots.
Yeah.
Would you call this the best first episode you've ever seen, or is it tied with something, or is it just like way the heck up there?
Wow.
Because I've seen more pilots than you, and I would say that well, I'm not going to get into my stuff yet, but like it would be harder for me to place it. But I'm wondering for you.
I mean, obviously, I'm like a really big Lost fan.
Well, that is a really good pilot.
It's a really good pilot. I don't think it's better than this.
Almost objectively.
Objectively. But I'm trying to think of like anything that comes, close. It probably is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to watch some more stuff.
Right.
And see where it falls. There's also stuff that you're only just now getting old enough and maybe even aren't yet for me to show. Because Daredevil, yes. Breaking Bad, I'm still like, probably not yet.
I think it's...
Walking Dead, certainly not.
I think it's maybe the most, like, well-written pilot.
Yeah, that's good. So you were very happy.
I was very happy, yeah.
So this was a treat, and you're excited about 7 more episodes of this, if it can stay to this quality.
I forgot about that, but yeah.
Yeah, good job. Way to do your sign flip. Let's hear from Austin next.
Yes.
Jason's like, screw you, Robert. I want to hear from Austin.
No, I want to see what his worst thing is. I want to see if he came up with
Robert's like, why am I here?
It's my new motto.
I'm going to pull a Connor. I just realized that I have colored paper clips on my desk. So I have, here is a red paper clip and a green paper clip. And I basically already said that this is great, so obviously I'm going to give it a green. Oh, God. Okay, so best thing for me I think is very easy. The best thing for me is Sophia Falcone. When that actress was cast,
it's Falcone in this world. Okay, this
Falcone.
Is a Race Roz thing.
I'm gonna go back and forth throughout this video. I guarantee it, and I apologize for that, but I will.
I can't remember. Does that movie go back and forth on it, or is it consistently?
I'm just so used to calling it is
consistently Falcone, isn't it? Yeah.
I'm just so used to calling him Falcone that I know I'm going to go back and forth on
Jayson,
it.
what was it that couldn't decide the pronunciation of Raish? There's something that says Raish and
Batman
Roz.
Ninja Turtles.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I had something in my head where I was like, there's something that goes back and forth with a name with Batman. I can't remember what it was. Is that what it is?
Robin keeps saying Ra's al Ghul, and then other characters are saying Ra's al Ghul, and then like I think another random character says Ra's al Ghul.
It's like they've got two different voice directors or something. Anyway, I've derailed this whole review. Go ahead.
You could make that work. It would be funny if like all the teen characters say it one way and then all the adults say it another way.
Sure. Or like all the Ninja Turtles say it the one way.
Yeah, or that.
Really, it's a colloquial thing.
All the turtles say it like that one woman in Begins, Mr. Raz Al Ghul.
Yeah.
Or is Raz Al Ghul immortal?
When they first cast that actress, I was very excited. That was very in line with how they cast people in the Batman, where it's like, I mean, that's a good actress. I don't know if I see that just based on the comic book character. But like she's really good, and then you watch the show and she's fantastic. And
I read that she's wanted to be a Batman villain since she started acting.
Yeah, no, I read that too. And the first thing she was ever in was The Sopranos, which is kind of funny. And apparently she's also been trying out for like a ton of superhero things, and this is just the first thing to bite, which is crazy.
Yeah, which is lucky for her, because if it stays this good, it will go down in history as one of the best superhero adaptations of all time. Mm-hmm. I think.
Yeah, exactly. And she'll be like one of the best Batman villains of all time.
There is an alternate... Sorry, I keep interrupting you, Austin, but...
That's okay.
We just keep thinking of funny things to say. There is an alternate universe where she winds up in Madam Web or something.
Yeah.
Right? Where she goes out for a Sony movie thinking that it's MCU. You know that could have happened. Because it happened to some decent actors with that movie.
Yeah, I mean, Hot Girl in the new Superman is in Madam Web. It can absolutely happen.
It can happen to anyone. It could happen to you.
She's the pregnant woman in Alien Romulus, too.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I liked her a lot. I think she's completely insane, and every scene with her and Penguin is just complete dynamite. Her and Colin Farrell play off each other so well. Uh, God, what am I going to throw out for my worst thing? Besides the bowling thing, because this really should be a show about bowling. Um, I don't know if I can come up with one. I will say I had one initially where I was like, I don't know that I bought that Penguins lets that kid go at the beginning, and then by the end of the episode, I'm completely went over on it. So that like was my worst thing at a point, but it's not now.
That's one of the things that's so good about this as a pilot, right? Is that, I mean, obviously it's setting up a lot to come, and it's the first chapter of an ongoing story, but it wraps up all the major threads it sets up for, for this character and like how he's going to get to the next section. Like it does feel of a piece.
Mm-hmm. No, exactly. It's very tight.
It all comes together. Like it is a story. Like it's kind of a short story in and of itself.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, there's a dog.
Oh my God, what are you showing me here? The worst thing is that Colin Farrell said that they added a certain thing on the Penguin suit and they did not show it during the torture scene. That is the worst thing.
So he can't do it, Jayson. He cannot come up with a legitimate, real worst thing.
That's a legitimate worst thing.
That is a legitimate worst thing. I was like, oh my God, they're gonna do it. No.
I have not heard about this.
Yeah, he said that his penguin suit is fully functional, and how they made it.
Jeez.
And I was like, I don't know why you would do that unless it's gonna be in the show. So that's all I got for you.
This could have been Black Label Batman all over again.
That's probably what happened. They digitally removed it.
They chickened out. Was that Batman Damned? It could have been Batman Damned all over again.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you give us the best though?
Best thing, Sophia.
Sophia, thank you. I couldn't think of her name. No,
Yep.
The Hangman.
Yeah, and I thought that was so cool. I remember in the trailer they dropped, I think, like a newspaper where it's like the Hangman strikes, and I was like, oh, we're adding the Dark Victory thing to her backstory. Like that's actually really cool.
Yeah, that's not a great book, but that's cool.
Mm-hmm. No, it's cool that they're like taking pieces from things that don't necessarily work, but they make it work.
Yeah, and really subtly, and again, it's simultaneously very comic book, and it doesn't matter if you've never read a comic book. Like, it doesn't. So far, it almost doesn't even matter if you've seen the Batman. Like, I could see fans of this and not that movie.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I could see this having like a Buffy Angel thing, where like people like this, but they don't really care about the thing that it spun off of.
Yeah, because you don't have to like superheroes to be into this, but with the Batman, you at least to a degree do.
Yeah. But the background is all like really well connected, and there's another layer to it if you saw that movie, but it explains all of that like perfectly well. Like I think you would even understand well enough like who Falcone was without seeing him, because he's dead, and you know, and what, you know, what the Falcone Maroni situation is, and all of that. Well, you flipped your sign.
Yes, it is in fact the green paperclip.
Wow, I'm so surprised. I mean, like, you didn't, but you might as well have.
Also, with Falcone, I'm interested to see how that plays, because they recast him, which I assume is to have a younger version, but I'm interested to see exactly how that plays. I assume we get Sophia flashbacks.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, it's Mark Strong, who was also Sinestro and the bad guy of Shazam. This is now his third DC role.
Wow. And he's not been in great stuff so far. Shazam's okay, but...
Yeah. He's winning on this one.
That will probably make a ton of sense, though, because if they go back to that character in, like, his 20s or something... Well, actually, no, that guy would be too old to even play 20s, so, like... I guess, I don't know, 40s maybe?
Age.
But that
Yeah.
But that Falcone looks like he's pushing 70 or something, so...
Yeah, because I think they're around the same age, but Mark Strong just looks younger than John Turturro does.
Okay.
But I imagine we'll probably see. I'm gonna guess flashbacks to Sophia as a kid, and like slightly older.
Did you
Like
look
in
any further into that? Was Turturro just like not available, or did they want to recast it?
I've
That's
not.
what I'm guessing.
Mhm. I've not.
Okay.
I always just assumed they wanted someone that looked younger.
I was gonna
for
say
flash-
I assumed that at first until we started talking about ages, and then I'm like, well, maybe not. Maybe they had to recast it for some reason.
And that is possible.
I don't know, but they did show an image or footage of him or something from that movie, so they're not trying to shy away from what he looked like before.
No, it's Mark Strong when you see a photo.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is a cast actor.
There's is it really?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. Well, then he just looks a lot like him in the way they've made him up. Then
Yeah, he
Well,
doesn't look like too far off.
never
Yeah, it's-
mind.
younger.
I thought it was the
It's
same
weird.
guy. It was like a glimpse. Okay.
I guess they won you over because to me, Mark Strong and John Turturro look and sound nothing alike, but they gave him the same mustache and glasses and
You-
stuff. So.
Yeah.
You can't tell what he sounds like from a picture, Robert.
Yeah, Robert. Why are you here? No, but yeah, I just want to say real quick before we go to Robert, I have been careful not to have anything spoiled for me or looked too far into the production with this, because I just don't want to know anything. So
Yeah, same here.
but there's even a few things, Austin, that you brought up like that like I wouldn't have known because I've just been staying away from stuff. So like
More so is just like hearing like, oh, this person was cast. Like that's about it. Like I haven't really looked into
cool.
it. It's just like I'll in passing see like, oh, Mark Strong is cast as
like I flipped past the end credits just to make sure there wasn't an after credits or something, and I noticed that they did an ad that I would imagine is like the this season on Penguin thing, or maybe it's just for next episode. I didn't even watch that. Like I don't want to know anything. So I don't know if you guys watched that, but I didn't even go that far. I haven't even watched that.
my version didn't even have that.
Oh, okay, interesting. Good. Because then we're on an even playing field. Let's hear from Robert.
Oh, okay.
Why are you here?
I don't know. I'm glad to be here.
Because he's the only one of us that actually owns a The Batman T-shirt, which
That is correct.
is commitment there. I should have that. And I love the red logo. I love it so much. Batman needed a red logo. It's about, like, besides Batman Beyond, like, it's about damn time. I love that logo and that color. Sorry, go ahead.
For you, that probably comes from the '60s show with the Batmobile.
Yeah, that you might be right. That might be part of it. But also, I don't know. It just pops, man.
Mm-hmm. So going into the show, I thought the movie was great, and I was pretty excited for this from day one because I thought Colin Farrell was great in the movie. Like everyone else, I thought he was a standout. So they announced it. I just thought, yes, I'm in. Easy sell. And my best thing is going to be the thing I was most excited about when we started hearing news about the show is the cast. Kind of piggybacking off of what Austin was talking about with Sophia. I think the cast in general, everyone is stellar. The more we started hearing about Clancy Brown as Maroni and the rest of the Falcone family getting cast, and then Kristen Miliotti's amazing as Sophia, like that's my easy best thing is the cast. All these actors are wonderful. And my worst thing is just a tiny nitpick. It is the name change I'm not a big fan of. Like, I was cool with calling him Oz in the movie, and he calls himself that because he thinks it's cool. He doesn't like the Penguin nickname, so he calls himself Oz. But his mom still calls him Oswald. I like all that stuff, but going from Cobblepot to Cobb, I'm not sold yet. I think it's unnecessary, but it's a tiny nitpick. I could get one over by the end of the series, and even then, his last name is said like one time in this episode.
I was going to say, are we
not a big deal.
Are we positive that they've actually shortened it, and
Yes.
that's not just other people like shortening it themselves for whatever reason? Or like, are we sure about that?
Yeah.
Because I keep seeing, and like, obviously you can't take stock in Wikipedia or whatever, but I keep seeing articles and wikis and stuff that still refer to him as Cobblepot. Like, I'm not convinced that won't come up at some point.
It might. Austin was theorizing about that.
Yeah, I feel like that could end up being a plot point in the show where I feel like once he like gains power and is on top, he takes on a fancier name and adds to it. But it also could just be nothing. I don't know. But I think it's just that Reeves has come out and said it's Cobb.
Oh, and Alex 409 there says the producer said they changed his name. Okay, I hadn't heard that. Yeah, I'm not sure what the point is of that, Robert. I'm kind of with you, because I was surprised they went all the way to Oswald, and then they shortened to Cobb, and I'm like, I don't know. This part of it is a little bit of a CW choice. Like I don't know why you felt the need to do that.
I think it's because Cobblepot sounds like posh British, but their Penguin is very much a street level, like Italian American
That's
guy.
fair. He was born there. His mother is not from there. From Britain or anything.
So I feel like that's probably the reason, but I don't know.
But that's a fair, legitimate reason to change it. Like if it just doesn't make any sense in the story. They also, Austin could later on be like, his lineage is English, and there were Cobblepots that came over, like, during the Revolution or something, and then they shortened their name when they got here. They could say God.
Yeah, exactly. When I think we're at the very least going to do something with the Penguin name, where I think he's going to embrace that by the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but
wasn't he already embracing it a little bit in the movie, though?
No, it's
No,
like a
he just goes by
derogatory thing that they call him for like his limp.
Yeah, Batman calls him the Penguin.
Okay. I still don't know that movie as well as I want to. And I was hoping to rewatch it before this, and I just didn't have a chance, because it's 3 hours long!
No, it's basically just everyone making fun of him for being handicapped.
You know what? I will say, I think this series might be good all the way through. Because, like...
Well, I hope so!
The original movie is 3 hours long.
I was going to say, that movie could have been a miniseries.
And
it could have. You flesh a couple of other things out, and you could have gotten the Batman to 8 hours.
But it was
absolutely.
It was fleshed out
Robert,
really well with 3 hours.
Oh, and yeah, absolutely it was.
And there's not a lot of like breaks or anything like that. It is a straightforward like movie all the way through. And that is what is happening with this pilot too. And so I feel like 8 hours isn't that big of a for something being kind of a sequel to that movie.
Yeah, but think about it. It's almost 3 times the length of that movie, and It is another singular character piece.
Yeah.
That, like, I'm assuming that the crime drama is going to just be that involved, or this is something else Austin and I talked about off camera. Austin could be right, and it could be more episodic than I'm thinking.
Oh. Could be.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I could see it going either way just based on this episode.
Like, could it make some detours here and there where some episodes are more about the Falcone Maroni drama, and some episodes aren't dealing with that stuff as much and go off in kind of a interlude sort of story?
Well, I think too what I meant by episodic, because I do think it'll have like an overall like this is the through line.
Yeah, of course.
Just in the sense that like there is a beginning, middle, and end in this episode. Like it's not like, oh, here's like 1/3 or 1/5 of a movie. Bye.
But are you guys with me? I mean, this is an eighth of the show. I finished this and I went, how do you get 8 episodes out of this? We're getting so many, and I'm like, and I don't mean that as a knock on it. I'm just like, I'm so impressed with the pacing. But this feels like half a movie to me, or at least a third of one. Okay, it feels like a third of one because the Batman's 3 hours and this is paced. I want to say kind of similarly.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like you said, this does get a lot done, and like Austin said, this has an actual ending. Like this sets up a conflict and more or less resolves it by the end of this episode. One thing I love about this episode, it's like watching a Hitchcock wrong man movie where the wrong man is actually the right man, but he's trying to convince everyone else that he is the wrong man. I love having a protagonist like this who's on the back foot the whole time, where he makes a choice. And earlier we were talking about like how the tone or the baton goes from the movie to this, where we get some of the score up front. And I feel like when the show has that shift to being the Penguin show, it's really clear. It's when the title card pops up, when we cut off that F-bomb, and his score kicks in after he makes a very specific choice. That to me is when it's like, okay, now this is the Penguin shows. Now we're away from the Batman, and I thought that was great.
I
And,
also love how
as-
that F-bomb getting cut off is just a stylistic choice because it's funny. Like, it's not censored because there's several
There's already
F-bombs in
two
the
before
episode.
that.
They keep happening.
His next line is like 8. When I watched it, I was like, "Oh, okay."
And then, as for my sign flip, if it wasn't obvious already, I got out the Batman Blu-ray on
Oh my
red,
gosh.
with really lame cover art, but I like the movie. But I put it in the red case, so. But it's got Oz on it, so it works. And then I figured, I mean, what better than this season 1?
Yeah.
So obviously, I'm flipping green. 66 season 1. Burgess Meredith approves. I like this a lot. I love the cast. I'm hooked on the story. I think it's great. And another thing you guys are talking about, though, how people who might not like the movie might like this. Because if you're not into superhero movies, and especially if you don't like 3-hour movies, that movie's a really hard sell. But there are plenty of people into Sopranos, Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, who I could totally see just feeling right at home with this.
That's what I was thinking.
I think it's very accessible, and I think it's great.
Now, we're saying that based on the first episode. Because
Yeah,
we're only
they're gonna-
looking at an eighth of this. And, like, the question is, how comic book does it get? And we'll get into some spoiler territory a little bit later. But, like, I'm seeing a couple of hints of things that could get a little bit more comic booky heightened. And I don't know if it's going to those places, but
well, and I guess mileage will vary, but granted, I haven't seen all the Sopranos, so I'm not an expert, but I would argue that's still a more grounded thing than something like Breaking Bad, because part of why I love Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul in that world so much is it does go to kind of some comic booky heightened places.
It does,
That's a very big show.
But I'm talking about potential super science type stuff with this. I think it could hit some of that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we can
Breaking
talk
Bad
about that.
did not do that, unless you count the giant
death.
magnet at the beginning of season 5. Is it 5 or 6? How long is that show?
That's 5.
It's 5. I'm always like, is it 5 or 6? I can't remember.
Well, because the final season was split in 2 parts, so
That's what
it's
it
kind
was.
of 5. It's kind of 6.
And I was actually watching it live at that point, so that threw me off. Yeah.
Basically, if you're only watching this because you like The Sopranos, you're going to be completely thrown off by the end when the Penguin shows up to the Falcone ball to kill all of them in his giant deckmobile. It's going to be the point where you're like, oh, I don't know about this show anymore.
Oh man! And then the Penguins are gonna carry him back down to the like, and they're not even gonna move him at all. They're just gonna walk next to him, and he's just being dragged by absolutely nothing.
If this show
I
ends
hope
with Sophia Falcone getting blown up by penguins with rockets on their back, this will be the greatest thing ever.
And he's gonna go on a big like Batmobile ride and just go no.
Well, I'm saying that'll be saved for season 2. We'll do Penguin Mayor and stealing the Batmobile next
You
season.
have to do them both in one season. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
And he has to kill a guy for a sandwich.
Yeah, that'll happen.
Can I use
It'll be
that
like,
as a
your sandwich
segue?
has more pickle.
Yeah. So can I get to that? Because
Yeah.
that joke alone is my best thing. Okay, but. So we'll get into spoilers here in a minute because a lot of my favorite things I want to talk about with this are just little moments and things. But I almost want to say, and I'm saying this somewhat facetiously, that my best thing about the show is how it's Gotham but correct. Like that's what I love about this. I don't know if I think a lot of this is probably completely coincidental. Like I would be shocked if anybody that worked on the show bothered looking at that show at all. But there's a lot of really weird similarities. And it's and Robert said, I'm just taking everybody else's points. Robert said to me off camera, "Hey, this show before I saw it is Gotham. I'm gonna say it because you didn't say it. Is Gotham done right?" And it is, yeah, in lots of ways. First of all, it's very interesting that I think this week is the 10th anniversary of the first episode of Gotham. And
Oh my god, I'm so old.
and I know. First of all, I can't believe it's been that long. And second of all, what are the odds that this comes out a week before that? Like that's crazy. So minor spoilers, but I have to bring them up because it makes me so happy. Penguin has an amusing line about shoes. And my favorite thing I always make fun of Gotham for is shiny shoes, Mother of God, and Penguin has a shoe line, and then Penguin kills a man for a sandwich in Gotham in first season Gotham, which I always laugh about, and is like not even ironically funny. That whole thing is great. By the way, that is a thing in Gotham. Their Penguin is one of the best things about that show. However you feel about that show. By the way, we live in a world now where the Penguin is one of the Batman characters that's been done best more often. Like it's kind of or done like really well more. It's crazy like the legacy this character has. And like so many different interpretations.
My favorite is Oswalda.
Like Penguin is starting to have that Batman thing where there's so many different ways you can do it, and they kind of all work to varying degrees. And I'm not saying there haven't been Penguins I don't like, because the animated series Penguin has the reputation, and I agree with it, for being kind of a little bit lame and for being kind of generic. And I was never the biggest fan of the Batman TV show Penguin. But anyway, I digress. It's just weird how well regarded and how many different cool variations on this character there have been. Like, because when I was growing up, I felt like the Penguin was simultaneously one of the most well-known Batman villains, and also a villain that people didn't know what to do with, and he was kind of just there, and nobody knew what the appropriate way to adapt him to media should be. And then you fast forward to right now, and we've had some really good ones, but this is the definitive one now, at least for me, and I felt like that with the Batman. I was like, because Reeves' interpretation of this character is more or less the way I've always seen him in comics, except he kind of gets away from the faux intellectual aspect, which I always liked, but I'm kind of appreciating the straight-up gangster version just as much or better. This isn't that far away from the Arkham version, except without the accent. And that works really well, except that is a meaner and kind of more sadistic Penguin. And this guy, in a weird, twisted way, is sort of a little more human, a little more recognizable, and a little bit more, I don't know if I want to say relatable, but kind of. But anyway, so so yeah, I don't know. My best thing is it's Gotham but correct. And like I had to, put up with that show for as long as I could, and then I finally quit on it, and I wanted that to be a great show, and it wasn't, because it does the sandwich thing, and then the show has Penguin in his funniest line of the whole show was about a sandwich, and I was like, how does this just keep hitting all this Gotham stuff? It's crazy. But anyway, so that's my facetious answer. My actual real answer is levity. This show is violent and twisted, messed up, and it's also really entertaining. Yeah. And it kind of never loses that. And I'm always with this protagonist, as obviously not good of a guy as he is. And as somebody in the comments earlier said, that I think hadn't seen the show yet, I hope that the Penguin realizes that it's following a villain and not an anti-hero or or a dark character that turns into a hero, like the Sony Spider-Man villain movies without Spider-Man in them. And yes, it absolutely does do that, but it also makes me like really care about him and in a weird way almost root for him from the very beginning. He's got this wonderful speech that kind of lays out what he secretly really wants. Like he has almost like an I have a dream speech, which I thought was like oddly like tragic and sad and heartwarming, and at least within the context of this crime drama, you sort of want him to win. And he's just so much fun to watch. It's also really impressive how consistent the writing is with the Batman, where it takes those like few really funny, sarcastic moments and this very specific sense of humor that this character has that I don't know how Farrell, and also it's just a treat to get to watch Colin Farrell every moment of a TV show, even though he totally disappears in this role, because I've always loved Colin Farrell going back to Daredevil and Phone Booth, and like I've always really liked that actor. And I felt like he never really had the career he should have. And he's been in some really great movies. But I always thought he should have been like a bigger kind of A star. And it's a big deal to me that he's getting this moment like this, and that he got to create this character from the ground up. And that he's so specific in just the few scenes that he gets in the Batman. And so you come into this, and I don't know, it's just a treat to get to watch him in every scene. Worst thing is, as you guys all said, kind of impossible, except I actually have one, which is, and it's so minor, who cares? I feel like, and my worst thing is in the first like 45 seconds of the show. I think the news anchor sections look a little cheap. There's one bit in that where you have, I can't remember who it is. It's not the mayor, but you have some character talking on a green screen, and it looks awful.
No, isn't that Bella Real? Doesn't she become mayor at the end of the Batman?
She does. I just couldn't remember if that was the character. Is it Real? Maybe it is Real.
I think it is.
Because I think because they did bring her back for the show, and
Yeah.
I think they just reshot that scene from the Batman, and you could tell. That stood out to me too. That the green screen there is not.
I thought
like-
that looked terrible, and it was the only thing in the whole episode that did.
Yeah.
No, that's fair.
That's minor. It's my worst
crazy.
thing. I wouldn't have even brought it up if something was legitimately a problem with the show. But I mean, it's not perfect, man. It's Daredevil level.
Yes.
It is the best pilot, first episode, whatever you want to call it, for a comic book adaptation that I have seen since Daredevil, and I continue to call that show the best piece of extra media material based on comics we've ever had. If this stays to this quality, it could match it or beat it for me. What were you gonna say?
And going back to your villain point, I very much agree. I really like how he is, like, we know that, like, he is a villain, and how he acts and how he, like, talks to people, and it's very, he's a...
Well, he murders in cold blood at least
Yeah.
two people in this episode. Like, he's definitely a bad guy.
He's a bad guy, but he's likable.
If Batman shows up right now, you're suddenly rooting for Batman. But when Batman's not here, I'm kind of rooting for the Penguin.
And but he's likable, and he's like...
He's dictionary
fun
definition
character.
sympathetic,
And
which is
he's-
what I was trying to say
and
earlier.
it's very it reminds me of a lot of Dr. Horrible.
Oh,
and-
sure.
Because of just how likable he is, while also being just a really bad guy.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen too many stories like this where it's like, oh, the bad guy is the main character and it's not an anti-hero. But
Mostly just because most of that stuff is too dark for you to look at.
right.
But
yeah.
the big difference with that's a really interesting comparison, Jason. The big difference between this and something like Dr. Horrible is that's a villain with a heart of gold.
Yeah.
And that's not what we have here, but this is a human person. So he cannot see the world past crime. It's all he's ever known. And so his dream, we'll just go ahead and get into spoilers, is to be like the benevolent Kingpin. But, like, he's still gonna do the wrong thing when he needs to for what might be the right reasons. But, like, he'll murder people when they gotta be murdered. But he wants adulation. He wants people to see him as a savior kind of character. And I don't know, if I started going down an analysis rabbit hole, it becomes very interesting to then compare him to their version of the Riddler and then their Batman and et cetera, et cetera. But
Absolutely.
And I also like that he isn't mentally insane.
I mentioned that to Jason while we were watching. We watched this twice and we were together and we were looking at it. We loved it so much. We had to sit down and watch it together again. And I turned to him when we went to Blackgate and I went, this Penguin wouldn't go to Arkham. Like, if he finally gets arrested, he goes to Blackgate. And usually Penguin will be an Arkham inmate. And I was finding myself going, is it just this version, or should Penguin usually not go to Arkham? And we just throw him in there because he's got a goofy animal getup.
I feel like original Penguin belongs in Arkham, but we've slowly shifted that character over time to a point where it makes more sense for him to go to Blackgate, but we always know him as going to Arkham.
He's much more of a Wilson Fisk type now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I think in animated series he does go to Stonegate. They call it Stonegate in that. But
okay, yeah, but there are places where he's in Arkham in that show too, and that doesn't make any sense. I don't think. We really think about it.
There was a fire at Blackgate. They had to send all their inmates over to Arkham.
And we do get Blackgate in this show. That's great.
Yeah, it's going to be cool because I guess we'll get to see some of Blackgate and Arkham in the show because we'll get that with Sophia. That'll be interesting. It'll be cool to kind of flesh some of that stuff out. And I talked to Robert about this when we reviewed it, but I'll see what Cap, you and Jayson think about this. But I feel like part of the goal of the show is to do that comic book thing we always talk about where in early Batman there's that shift where it's like this is when it's the gangsters and this is when it's the supervillains, and I feel like this is going to be that as a show where it's like most of the mobsters like the Falcones, the Maronis will be wiped off the table by the end of this, and then that's when we'll get the Penguin as the head of crime, and we'll get to see more of that.
Yeah, I wonder about that, or if they'll want to keep some level of like the families in there somehow, and still have the typical like street level gangster guys still, like a like a Daggett type or something. And I say that because
still have the mob, but that maybe one family is the Sionuses or something, or
someone like Black Mask would be perfect.
But I like your idea that as we move along, it becomes more about the kind of costumed characters, and maybe the big split will be sort of like that Nolan escalation thing, where like this is just it's becoming crazier and crazier, and so to stand out, you've got to wear a costume or something, or you're already getting a little bit of that, where like the Penguin wants to be noticed, he wants to stand out, he drives a purple car. I love that the purple car is a plot point. I wasn't expecting that. I thought it was just they're doing kind of a fun, cute thing where it's the Penguin, he's got to have something purple, so his car is purple, and then it becomes a plot point, and it's really smart and sophisticated about that stuff, where it's like, okay, in this arguably kind of grounded but still pretty stylized world, if he's going to drive that around, people are going to notice it and have to talk about it. There's got to be a real reason behind it, in all of that. But the reason I wonder, so you could have like the Arkham inmates, and then the costumed, still not insane but very dangerous criminals that also wear costumes, like a Black Mask or something, like you said. They are referring to this whole franchise as the Batman epic crime saga, which is why I hesitate to fully agree with you, Austin, that's the direction they'll go.
Well, like I said, I don't think that necessarily removes like the exact mobster idea or like the gangs, but like I wonder if we just take out all of the mobster characters like the Falcones and the Maronis, and then we get more of the people we know as being like the freaks. Also, if I can have a worse thing, that name is awful. This should clearly be called the Universe, because it's the Batman, the Penguin.
Yeah, it should. Well, yeah.
Why does it have epic in the name? That's so dumb.
I don't like that either. I bet Reeves didn't come up with that. I wonder if that was like a gun thing or somebody under gun. Like I don't know, but
that feels like someone was like, we needed some sort of distinction. I don't know.
That didn't happen until it fell under the Elseworlds umbrella. So I don't think. So I don't know.
Just call it the Universe, because that's clearly the title.
You know what's going to happen though? The next show they do will not have the title. They'll totally screw it up.
No, it'll be the Harvey Dent.
The Arkhams.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, there you go. The Arkhams. That should be a sitcom.
That's
like your monsters.
I know I keep talking about this, but just the balance that it's finding between sophisticated, intelligent, gangster fiction, and we keep talking about how tight the writing is. Everything comes back. Like you gotta love. Sorry, I'm jumping around, but you gotta love how Penguin in that opening scene, and I didn't call it. I don't know if you guys did. Again, spoilers now. But they're setting up, and this is always a great pilot move. And I've seen other pilots do this, where you have a character that is played brilliantly by an actor that looks like he should be a regular, and then we kill him in the first episode. I love it when that's pulled off right. It's a classic move, and this really handles that beautifully. But there are a number of things that are set up in the scene with what's his face? Help me out.
Alberto?
Alberto, thank you. Alberto Falcone, who has the there's a lot of like props and symbols and things that keep coming back throughout the whole episode that we could have just stretched through the whole season, and we didn't, and that's one of the things that makes it feel like a singular piece, where Penguin is he's what's the word I'm looking for? Using everything at his disposal, and he's economical about everything, and so like the ring comes back into play later, and information that he learned in that comes back into play later, and I love that, but also it's neat how it is still very much the Penguin, and like they like that character, and it doesn't feel like they're shying away from the comic book stuff. So our opening scene, and I called it. I told Jayson before we turned it on. I said this scene will open in the rain, or this movie will, or this show will open. There's no way there's not rain at the start, and he's got his umbrella right away, and he's waddling, and they're just like, just so you know, it really is that character. And I'm
he's
like,
going to the iceberg,
and he's going to, yeah, that image. It's the opening for your Penguin show. It's perfect. It's so freaking classy. It's the Penguin waddling with an umbrella in the rain going into the iceberg.
They made that a poster.
Did they? They should have. I mean, it's wonderful.
I want that poster. The only thing we didn't get in this episode that made me sad is I just want him stabbing somebody to death with an umbrella. I don't need the trick umbrellas. I just want him stabbing someone with an umbrella.
You got 7 more episodes. I'm sure it'll happen.
7 more episodes. I hope it happens.
It'll be how he kills Sophia. That'll be the big moment where he gets like a one-liner.
And he's got a cigar motif.
Mm-hmm.
That's great. Like when he gives the kid the cigar, I was like, perfect.
Sorry, go ahead, Robert.
Just real quick, something John Kelling mentioned
That's
in
exactly what I was
chat. With the kid, his little Robin, who's obviously very Jason Todd coded, and I love that, without literally having to be Jason Todd. But his name is Vic Aguilar, and John Kelling said that that's Spanish for eagle. So there is a bird motif going on there. That's great.
I didn't pick up on that at all.
Espanol, fellas?
Yeah, well, I don't know the difference between L and Law. And I didn't actually think of the Jason Todd thing. That was something that Austin brought up to me, and I was like, yeah, I guess I can see it. I didn't think of that.
He almost got killed with a crowbar.
Oh, that's true too. I was like, wait a minute. There's like a punk kid stealing his tires on the road that he's gonna take in.
In season 2, he's gonna steal the tires off the Batmobile.
There you go.
Yeah, can we talk about that kid for a minute?
First of all, that actor is awesome.
Yeah. He really reminded me of Maximus from the Fallout show, just in like how he reacts to fear. And just, like, how he kind of reacts to certain things.
He's real pragmatic.
Just overall, like, he that was the first thing that I thought of, was he reminded me of that character. But yeah, he's great. I didn't like him at first, because I just thought he was kind of too whiny. But, like, it becomes a thing, and like,
well,
it works.
He's trying not to get killed.
Right. Well, right. It's just like
he's trying to stay alive.
But it becomes funny because Penguin just makes fun of him about it for everything, which is funny. So
Well,
yeah, I
like
love that
said-
he just doesn't give anybody an inch.
Yeah.
Like, it's always funny, but I also like that he sees himself in that kid, and they have a real, kind of chemistry and kind of a bond together. And I wonder if he'll stay with Penguin through the whole show, or if he gets killed off at some point. Or sorry, Austin, what were you gonna say?
No, I was just gonna say, like I said, like in the moment, I was like, like are we kind of skirting away from Penguin being a bad guy, but having him not kill that kid? And then by the end, it's like, oh no, he already knows he's gonna have this kid drive the body into the Falcone residence to get that off of his case.
Yeah, but you know what? Even if they hadn't done that, I think I still would have been behind it, Austin. I think I don't know that I had the same reservation as you in the moment with it, but I would have if we didn't have that speech at the beginning. Because there's this like tinge, this like residue of humanity in him that I don't think goes too far to make him too compassionate, because there's an ambiguity about how much of it is he can be compassionate and how much of it is he's a pragmatist.
Mm-hmm.
And when
Well,
he
a lot
says,
of it-
maybe you'll be useful, I better keep you around, I think the show is intentionally trying to make us wonder, is he being soft in this moment, or is he being calculated in this moment? And I don't think any of us can know that yet. And I really like that about it. So, I mean, even if he didn't maybe have his plan already starting to work out, and I don't know for sure if he does even, that still worked for me.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely fair. I think it was just early enough in the episode where I was like I don't fully know exactly if we're gonna like land on that properly. And then
Yeah,
by
did
the
you
end
feel
of
like
the
it was
episode-
kind of too risky for him for at first for not a good enough reason? Where it's like, well,
Yeah.
like Penguin is right if you're just thinking about it in a cold like criminal sort of way. Yeah, the smart thing to do right now is to kill that kid. He's a liability.
This kid will end up screwing him over, exactly, and then it ends up being part of his plan is that he kind of needs this kid to do something because he exists outside of this gangster world, because obviously you can't trust somebody that is in that because they can easily go to his higher ups.
Well, I'm wondering if it will become a point of contention, like between them, to the point where the Penguin won't know if he can rely on this kid, that he is softer than the Penguin and couldn't, obviously, for example, bring himself to cut a head off a body. And I loved the detail with that, where you can see the places where he's tried to cut the head off.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like when you first see it on a first viewing, you're like, that's not how he died. Why does he have these marks on it? And then it's explained later. And there's kind of a fun bit of foreshadowing for that. But I wonder if that will be a big commonality between them, where we'll see more of Penguin's humanity through this kid that is kind of stuck in this life and doesn't know anything else and is trying to be ambitious within that, but there is a little bit of humanity in him. Or if it'll be, like I said, this big point of contention where the Penguin's like, yeah, you're way too soft and you've got to learn to be able to do these things, and if you can't, you're out. And it's hard to say where that goes.
Yeah, everything with him could go any direction. It's so hard to say off this episode.
Well,
Sorry, go ahead, Britt.
Oh no, it's fine. Key part of that scene too, though, is the kid when they stuff the body in the trunk. He's not just pleading for his life. He also says, "I have ambition."
Yeah, right.
That's a big thing.
That's part of what
that
Penguin's
sells
seeing in
him
him.
on it.
And I think Penguin is speaking the truth when he says that he sees potential in him, and that like he can be more than he is.
And he also has the disability, he has the stutter. Like that's something that instantly makes him empathize with him a bit.
Right.
Yeah, does he actually have a stutter, or is he just doing that because he's kidnapped?
No, he definitely has a
like, does he
stutter.
It's
actually-
pretty consistent throughout the episode.
And that's one of the really impressive things in his performance.
Yeah.
Is that not just that he can pull that off and make it look like he has that disability, but that he feels like he's lived with it for a really long time and he's got it more or less under control. That's hard to play. Where, like, it's not even severe to the point where he can't control it. It's like he's in this really traumatic, heightened state. at the beginning of the episode, and so he's really fighting it. But you notice as the episode goes along and he gets a little bit more comfortable with the Penguin, he does it less and less. So like his performance is really incredible.
That's why I didn't
fighting that.
That's why I didn't know if he actually had a stutter.
That's what he's playing, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's very impressive. He's great. He also wears a blue winter coat, and he likes slush puppies, and his name is Victor. So, just saying, he's clearly this universe's Mr. Freeze. It's not Mr. Freeze.
No, he's not. He's Victor Zsasz.
Oh, that's true.
One of us would be right.
He's Victor F. Zsasz. I want to think that I've been racking my brain about this and I haven't come up with a read on it. But Austin, I'm trying to come up with a pretentious analysis read on the slush puppy thing. Because it keeps coming back when you get to the end. He says it's better when you mix the flavors, and I'm like, that means something in this story. And I might have to get more of it before I know what it's dealing with. But that is analogous for something.
Because he's mixing in with the Falcones and the Maronis to play them off each other.
Is that all it is? Maybe? Yeah. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to be able to read it yet or if it's part of the greater picture.
So what does the air freshener represent?
That's just a funny joke.
Look, sometimes an air freshener is just an air freshener.
Okay, why can't it be Victor Stone?
He's Victor F.S. Zsasz. No, I think the air freshener is this is that's what little we've kept of the faux intellectual thing. Where it's not even intellectual now. It's this guy likes the finer things. He wants to think of himself as not just big man on campus, but like high society. We have kept that part of this Penguin a little bit. He's just not acting posh about it. His dream is to be both revered and live in the big mansion. He's very fixated on the Falcone's mansion.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no, he still has elements of that high society,
the upper
thing,
class,
just not in the same. Yeah, exactly. Just not in the same kind of posh British way.
I never noticed how many Victors there are in DC.
The Question is also a Victor. The Question could exist in
Vic
this
Sage?
universe.
Right, so he's Victor F.S.S. Zsasz.
Wait, is Zaz a Z?
Yes.
Z-S-A-S-Z. Yeah.
Did you know that Zaz is a palindrome?
Yep.
It is. I think it is.
And if you think it's not, he's about to have a marking on his body.
So much cool little attention to detail. I feel like we'd be remiss because somebody will think of this and write it in comments later, I'm sure. But that QR code that comes up, you can scan, and there's like a viral marketing thing they did with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's like a Riddler chat code where they're talking about breaking him out of prison, which is really cool.
Isn't that nuts?
Yeah, it makes me wonder. It's like, is this like viral marketing, like to be like, oh, what are we gonna do for the next movie, or is it just world building?
Yeah,
the viral marketing.
Or could he show up in the show?
That could happen too.
See him in Arkham. Yeah, the viral marketing for that movie was so cool. Did any of you guys ever go to the Ratalada website from the movie? That's a real website you can go to, and they had riddles and stuff.
I never looked at it, but I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah,
that's where they dropped the Joker deleted scene. Like you had to unlock it through riddles. That's where that first was dropped online. Was that website? It was super cool.
And I think they brought that website back for the show. If I'm not
Kelly
wrong,
Kelly
I
says you
think
can
it
still
came
look at
active
it.
again.
Yeah.
Well, I just mean, like, I think it became active again, where they started putting up stuff for this show, and that's pretty sweet. But like, I could see the next movie with the ending that we have of it going to some sort of War of Jokes and Riddles type place with Riddler and Joker.
Yeah.
So like I could also see it building to something with that. I don't know.
Yeah, I keep imagining they team them up and then they have like a tragic separation.
Yeah,
Maybe.
that could also be a thing.
Where they
Uh,
they kind of do the Gotham thing with Penguin and Riddler, except they don't make it literally romantic. Because in that show, they actually made them lovers, or at least one of them was interested in the other one, and the other one didn't care. But I don't think they'll do that with this. But
Well, back to what you were talking about earlier, Cap, with
Yeah.
similarities with Gotham. One thing that I caught was this is another Penguin with mommy issues.
Yes.
So this is very different than that. Her scene's great.
they just you just can't call where things are going to go. They play her like she's got full on dementia, and then she snaps him and the audience to full attention, where she's like, "I'm not an idiot. What are what are you talking about?" And then that didn't go anywhere where I thought it was going to, where it turns into this speech of no, own that you killed that guy. You should have. You just wanted to. Like, I love right away giving us a sense of his parentage and how screwed up all of that is and why he is the way. And then that's one of the things that makes him sympathetic. Is like, well, when your mother is saying take over the city, kill people because you want to, and like take things that you've decided you want because no one will ever give you any. I think of course he's gonna be like that.
Yeah.
That's his
do you guys
mom
think his
saying
brothers-
that. Oh, and also that necklace from that scene comes back there and he gives it to her. Like, I love that that all those props come back and he just keeps using them for various ends for this plot all the way through.
A lot of focus on jewelry stuff. Yeah.
Mhm. And do you guys think his brothers are dead? Because he mentions having brothers in this episode, and you see the family
You
photos.
see them in the photos. I wondered
Oh.
about that.
Dad,
That was my assumption.
You want to talk about 70%?
Well, Austin brought that up earlier.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that was wonderful.
The
Also,
other thing I wanted to say. Oh, sorry.
sorry. One thing we keep doing with him all the way through this is he never takes no for an answer. You have multiple scenes where he'll be told, "No, I don't want anything to do with you," and he completely ignores that and goes, "I'll see you next week." And I love that we keep coming up with, like, again, levity, like really great kind of subtle comedy out of nuanced and like very specific character work. This is just the way this guy operates. It's how he gets what he wants, but it's also really funny.
I was expecting him to say, "She's standing right behind me," isn't she? When Sophia
Me
walks into that
too!
room in that great long shot. When you saw it, that seems great.
She's scary all the time.
Nah, she's rehabilitated. She's fine.
I love. There's always something like really twisted going on behind her eyes. That whole dinner like lunch scene is uncomfortable, and then but like I wasn't expecting her to go all the way to like strip him naked and all of that. And I was like, where is this going? And then I was really like, I don't know if my 14-year-old should be watching this. And it went far enough that it was ultra disturbing. You didn't lose any sleep last night, did you?
No.
Are you good? Okay, sweet. But like not so far that I questioned whether I wanted to keep watching it. Like it knows where that line is, at least for my taste. Luckily, because I know it probably can't go too far for Austin, but it could go too far for me. It's also just one episode. Like it's possible this is the tamest this show is, and it gets worse as it goes along. Because, like Austin said, it looks like he could do anything. Like, nobody's holding these people back.
No, like there's nudity in this show, and I was shocked by that. I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
just
it's a really
friends
good
with hookers, which I thought was really funny.
And so in the cast list, the prostitute woman that he goes to talk to is the one whose last name is Carlo. Because I remember that being a
Right.
big thing. They were like, there's a Carlo in the show. I think it would be cool if she's related to Basil Carlo. I think it would be way cooler if
She
your
turns out to be
reinvention.
Clayface?
if your reinvention of Clayface is as a prostitute, like that is like the way to gender bend that character. That would be so fascinating.
Well, you could make it like way weirder, where if it is a Clayface that can, like change shape or at least change, human bodies, you wouldn't even have to gender bend it. Like it could be a guy in the first place.
You could do something like, yeah, where like Clayface kind of goes back and forth. Absolutely. That it 100% will not be the way they go, but when Robert and I talked about that, because I didn't catch that that's who that was on the first viewing, he was the one who said that to me, and I was like, oh man, my brain exploded with possibility.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
I said to him, I was like, we did all the prostitute stuff after we had Catwoman leave, so we couldn't do that from year one. So we just went, what other villain can we put in here? Clayface.
Draven G says it wouldn't be an HBO show if there was no nudity. That is a good point.
Yep, exactly.
That's
It's the only
a
thing
that's
that
a
made them put in
hallmark
the
of
show.
HBO. You think they went? You think that was like an 11th hour thing? Yeah, when you're like in your mid-20s, watch Rome. Oh my god! But anyway, you think that was part of the 11th hour thing where they were like, oh, there is nudity in this, but we should just broadcast it on HBO.
Maybe.
Why don't you broadcast it?
Yeah, no, exactly. I was really shocked that the show was allowed to go that far. I figured that was kind of off the table.
Yeah.
Well, in Cap earlier, we were talking about how this is like Gotham, but good. It makes it all the more sad that police procedural show they were working on is canceled or currently canceled, because that could have been the police procedural side of Gotham done well. I'd love to see something like that in this universe. Like a real cop show.
And now Matt Reeves is saying that 'cause it was like the Arkham show, and then GCPD, then Arkham, and then it got canceled or whatever. But he's now saying that it's not done, like they've just reworked it into something else, but he just didn't say what it was. It's like there is a chance we still see whatever that was.
Yeah, it sounded like there was a little bit of interference in that regard from the like up and ups at Warner's, where they were like, well, we want you guys to make things that are based on like big characters people have heard of. And so I think the Gotham it sounds like, from what I've read anyway, the Gotham show had to be reworked because it didn't have like big characters at the top that people were already like interested in familiar with. And it might have even just been a title thing where it's like, well, the Penguin will sell because it's the Penguin, so we need like a character name in the title. Like, I wonder if it'll be that kind of thing, or if they would do just a straight up
the in the
Arkham show. Yeah. And now we're back to the Arkhams. Sorry, what was it?
No, I was just gonna say, could that be the Harvey Dent show, where like you have the cop side and the Arkham side that's all kind of going back and forth by like the lawyer character that kind of has to live in both of those worlds.
I want it to just be called
great.
The Harvey Dent Show.
Yeah, you know what? Add show to the end of what I said earlier. Just call it the Harvey Dent show. Exactly.
If that was CW, they'd call it The Coin.
I thought you were gonna say it'd be called Dent. But...
Well, if I saw that "the" in the title, you're right. No, it would be. It would just be Dent. But do you know? Do you have
Harvey
any
Dent
idea?
of tomorrow.
Austin, do you have any idea how stoked I would be to get a courtroom drama set in this universe? Oh my gosh! Like,
oh, so good.
Oh my god! Like, it's all I want now that you say that, and that's the angle, right? Is if you did a Harvey Dent show, it would be Matlock with Harvey Dent, and God, I want that. Like, that sounds wonderful.
Because that's the way to expand this universe.
They're doing a new Matlock, by the way. That's weird.
Wait, what?
Matlock.
Yeah, did you hear about that?
No.
Yeah, they gender bended it, and
No.
yeah, okay, but here's the thing. I didn't think I had, and they've already aired. Here's the thing: they've aired the first episode, and it actually did really well for them. It was like the viewership was like 8 million. It was like the biggest. Is it NBC? I can't remember, but one of the big networks. It was the biggest opening in a long time. It's Kathy Bates, and like suddenly I'm curious.
Oh.
Didn't she just announce she was retiring?
Yeah.
and she's doing this show.
Is it a Jim Carrey retirement?
I don't know. It's her show.
That's so weird. Maybe she'll have a Matlock child.
I just found out about this today.
That's wild.
Yeah, so suddenly I'm curious about it because I like her a lot.
Yeah, I would think that there'd be like 3 people who are still alive that know what Matlock is.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, no, that's true, but we've been... Sorry, I'm going off the rails, but we have been weirdly successful, Austin, with some of these reboots for shows that haven't been on for 30, 40 years. Because...
Yeah, we got Court.
Yeah, which I didn't think would be very... But it's done really well. But, like, you could have said the same thing about Hawaii Five-0. That was on, like, 8 seasons. Like, I'm sure lots of people didn't know what that was either.
Yeah, because something like The Equalizer makes sense, because, like, that also got, like, a movie trilogy recently. So, like, yeah, that is more a thing now still, kind of.
Yeah.
Weird.
You know, and then some of those things did not do well at all. Like when they tried to bring back Bionic Woman, that was a fiasco. that was years ago now, but like the Lethal Weapon show, people really liked. I saw that pilot; it's excellent. But yeah, so some of these things have worked. So I don't know. Yeah, I'll try out the new Matlock. I didn't think I would say that, but also I hope that there's a Gotham Matlock. I hope there's the Batman Matlock.
That's the way to spin off things from the Batman, right? Is you just take a character who's in a very different spot in that world.
Well, I think even something like...
And it's fresh because we've never done that with Batman.
Yeah,
we've done this, but this feels fresh again in kind of reinventing it. But we've never done that. So, sorry, Robert.
Oh no. Also with Selena in the first movie, I think you could do a spin-off with her and go to Rome or Paris or something. You know, expand the world outside of Gotham. You know,
no, you go to Bloodhaven. You do a Catwoman Bloodhaven show because that's where she's headed at the end of that show.
Also, wasn't that
Austin and I have had this conversation? That's the big thing I want. Is I want her because I think Kravitz is genius, and I really want a show with her.
Wasn't that
not a show or a movie? Like I think it would do well either way. Sorry, go ahead, Jayson.
I think Chloe Grace Moretz would be so good in that show. Like,
were they not talking about that?
I don't think there's been any
think
discussion about that, has there?
I think there was like early on, but I feel like we've done that with every Catwoman actress.
Yes.
Maybe we'll spend them off.
Yeah, because the hated Catwoman movie from the mid-2000s was supposed to be a Michelle Pfeiffer spinoff initially.
And there was talk about it with Anne Hathaway as well.
Really?
Yeah. So like I feel like every movie Catwoman we like early on are like, maybe we'll spin it off. So I think there was talk about it early on.
Watch somebody, Robert, find like an old memo that we never knew about from the 60s show where they're talking about like spinning off Julie Newmar and her own show.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my god, we almost got that with the animated series too.
That was supposed to get a show.
Yep.
The 66 would have had a show spin-off called Catwomen, just all 3 of them live together in an apartment. And it's like Three's Company. Awesome. It's like Three's Company, but with Catwoman.
That would have been worth it just to finally say these are, in fact, 3 different women.
Exactly.
Because you'll never, especially when you get to Eartha Kitt, you'll never convince me that that's the same character.
What about Mustache Riddler?
Yeah, like they seem to be saying that's the same character. I don't know. It's weird. but Julie Newmar and Eartha Kitt are playing it so differently. They seem like completely different characters. Like it's not just the ethnicity thing. It's like they're playing it. They're different characters.
Your theory that like Eartha
now you can say
Kitt
the same
like
thing about
Jungle Cat?
Yeah, my whole thing is Newmar is the house cat and Eartha Kitt is the jungle cat.
The best part about this Catwoman sitcom is the like crazy neighbor that like comes in and hangs out with them is all 3 Mr. Freezes. They live next door.
It's so good. His name is actually Victor HSS.
Yeah, we need a team of victors.
Or not HS.
Yeah.
It was wait, what was it? It was SS? No.
I don't know.
Victor, what were the victors? He had Victor Stone. Anyway, it's not important.
We need a team of victors called Victory.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. Spelled with a K.
Or just a show spinoff called The Victors.
Ooh.
This is way off the rails now. What else do we need to talk about with the Penguin pilot?
I mean, I have some questions.
Well, let's get to those.
Yeah.
Cool Doberman 2024 asks,
Hi there.
is this show necessary?
I think retroactively, now that's always a loaded word. No offense to you, but like we can get into the whole argument of like what is necessary. If it's good enough, who cares, right? But I think retroactively, when we get the second movie, we're gonna say we're really glad that this world building happened.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I think Matt Reeves basically said that this was his pitch for the second movie, and then they were like, let's make it a TV show.
It wasn't just that was also studio interference, Austin. It wasn't just they're deciding to retool it that way. It was Warner Brothers saying, you can do your Penguin thing, but it can't be the sequel. It has to be a TV show. Like they basically told them to make it this way.
Yeah, and I think as long as it's good, whatever, who cares? But like you said, I agree with that world building thing where it now allows them to go a step further in that sequel without having to explain it for the first half hour.
I think this has potential to be what Disney promised the Disney Plus Marvel shows would be and kind of failed at so far, in my opinion. Yeah. Where you could go from the Batman and the Batman 2 and feel like you missed nothing and play totally fine. Or you could watch the Batman, then this show, and have a much richer, even better experience going into the Batman 2. I think it could play for both audiences, whether you watch the show or not. And it's like, Better Call Saul, a lot of people said that was unnecessary, and it was great. So people are fine with it. It just enriches the world. It just fleshes things out. We'll see by the end of the season, but I think it has that potential.
I'm a broken record, but it's just always about, for the most part, it's always about being character-driven. I mean, it will feel necessary if you told a really complex, interesting, rich story about a three-dimensional character that you come to care about. You can tell a story about anybody if you just really get in their head and have the right occasion for story and the right opportunities for change and everything that makes a good story.
Well, and Colin Farrell was also very excited for this because as much as he loved the script of the first movie and was excited about when he was cast, he was also disappointed that he got so little screen time, that he did the best with what he got, but he's only in that movie for like 10 minutes. And one of the scenes cut, like, have all you guys seen that deleted scene with him and Selena in the first movie?
No.
Oh, it's great.
I have not seen that.
It's the scene when Selena is working with Batman and going undercover under the Iceberg Lounge to infiltrate. There's a cut scene where she runs into Oz, and she says, "Oh, I need to work tonight. I need money." And he tries to offer her money. He's like, "No, you don't want to go down there. Like those guys will, like it's not worth it. Here's some money." And of course she refuses because she's working for Batman and she can't say that. And he feels very insulted, where he's like, "Oh, is it because of the way I look? Like, my money's not good enough for you?" And then the scene ends with him saying, "One day this city's gonna be mine," or "People underestimate me." He says stuff like that, which maybe they thought was just laying it on too thick. But it's a really good scene, and one of those little human elements when he says, "Is it because of the way I look? Like, why isn't my money good enough for you?" He's very wounded by it. And you get a Penguin who's obviously kind of attracted to Selena again, so that's kind of fun. But I love that you get that scene now expanded into a whole show, like just fleshing this guy out. Like, that's really
No, that is fun because of all the nods to various Batman media, because they're doing that because of Batman Returns, and that's wonderful. And all four of the villains from 66 are there because that's on purpose. And, yeah.
Does that scene open with just the employee I was looking for?
Oh my god. I think retroactively when we get this whole show, it's going to feel like, and this is not the case, but they're just like being smart, not missing opportunities. It's gonna feel like he got so little screen time in that movie because they're just getting started with him. Like they're just kind of seeding over there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
It could be worse.
Your nose could be gushing blood.
Your armpit could be gushing.
No,
That's true.
I gotta say, I've never seen that torture scene before. That was new. What's a new way we can make the audience squirm and make somebody really want to talk? Oh, I know. Ugh. Jayson, I don't know. Maybe I should watch each of these episodes before I let you watch it.
It actually wasn't that bad for me. Mainly because,
what are you showing me
specific
here?
in that
Come on.
in that specific in that certain scene, the blood just didn't look real.
Is that your worst thing?
No, that
I
was
mean, it
actually
also
good
looked like a
because
spring digging into a fat.
it actually looked like fake blood, so it wasn't.
You know, I actually think I'm not saying I want this, and I'm kind of joking when I say this. There's an angle for a sitcom in this show instead of the gritty crime drama we're getting, because there's a part of me that wants to see Colin Farrell just riff for 5 minutes about how two pickles is not extra pickles. Like, I just wanted him to keep going on about it's so good. He's like I asked for extra pickles, they give me 2. What, 1 pickle is a normal amount of pickles now? Doesn't make any sense. I'll never forget that now.
So when that happened, when he was like, "Oh, they only gave me 2 pickles," all I could hear in my head was, "I only got 2 wontons." And then I started laughing harder, and I went, "You know what? No, I've been there, and I agree, Penguin. We need to take out people that think that."
The kid's like,
True.
and I love how the kid will do anything for Penguin, because he's trying not to die, but I think he's also like more and more warming up to him and is maybe admiring him a little bit, which is twisted. And he's like, "Do you want my pickles?" He's like, "That touched your little gross mouth." No, and it just keeps going. It's so good.
Right.
And then that bit when he's like, when he's like, you think we should leave the body over there? He's like, "What, you want to steal it?"
Yeah, your friends want to steal it?
Do your friends want to steal it?
That was really funny.
That's what it was.
One thing we haven't talked about yet is Maroney.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of him so far?
He's great. He's one of the things I was really excited about when they cast Clancy Brown. I was like, yes.
I
'Cause
do
love
like Clancy Brown.
He fits so perfectly in this world that for a moment I was an idiot and I thought that he was in the movie.
Me too.
And I went, "Oh yeah, that's right. He's not been here yet."
I had a similar thing when he was cast. I was like, "That's just correct."
Yeah.
Which
Which
also is kind of unlike them.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I
true.
guess you're right.
Well, and he was also in Daredevil and Punisher, so again, it just feels very totally in sync with those.
And this show so far feels very John Wick.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
want
I
to
can
see
see
this
some
Penguin fight the Penguin Kingpin guy from John Wick 4.
Oh, you know what? I forgot for a second he was in that. He's
He
so
is,
good
yeah.
in that.
He's the only thing I know him from. Or that's the only thing I know him from is from John Wick 4, but...
Well, at least that
he's
you're
the-
aware of, because he's also a voice actor. But yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, he voices Lex Luthor in Superman the Animated Series
And all
and
the-
Mr. Krabs. And
The
stuff.
DCAU stuff. One compliment I wanted to pay this, and I meant to say this when I was rambling with my sign flip, but did I ever actually put my green up? I don't even remember. But anyway, hey, Austin, would you agree with me if I were to say, because you and I have been debating about whether or not Batman shows up at all in this, and it seems like Reeves has been a little bit coy with that and acting like it's not going to happen, and like we're not. I don't know if we can be sure yet or not. There was not a part of me that was like missing that or thinking it was lame that he's not here. And I could imagine a whole show where I'm not like, why doesn't Batman show up? Although if you get too big with all the crime drama, you will kind of wonder why Batman's not investigating this. There is that question just in the plot. But as far as this is like a character piece, a lot of the issues with some of the other things we've done with like Batman things without Batman is like, why isn't Batman here? And like this would be so much more fun if we could actually have why can't Gotham just be a Batman show and not have a stupid 12-year-old kid?
Mhm. Yeah, I'd never really had
Who cares
that.
about
I
an
also
Alfred show?
I also think the show is a good out. Gotham was literally just flooded.
Right.
I think he's got like bigger issues to deal with than like random mobster politics.
Yeah.
I also really like the detail that they add in the show that none of the rich side of Gotham was flooded. I thought that was really cool, and I
Well-
hope we play more into the class side of that.
Yeah, because I could say, now that you say that, maybe I have an actual worst thing, which is I sort of felt like I sort of thought the world would feel a little bit more like we're in a no man's land place when we got to the show, and the city is functioning better than I expected it to. And it might have been cool if it was a little bit more screwed up and run down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's fair. I think it seems to just be places. Like, the Iceberg Lounge is kind of destroyed right now. I like how that's part of the reason why the plot's happening with Penguin, where they're shutting down his drug manufacturing lab thing that we saw in the Batman.
Yeah, that's true. No, the
but
crime
yeah,
side is having a real tough time with it because they've only got 30% of their drops, even though the Penguin is lying and saying it's 70.
Oh,
I
have
got
you talked about your
70%.
theory yet?
I have a theory.
Yeah, you have a theory about the thing that Alberto was doing.
I do.
Yeah, you
and
Oh,
this
so do I.
and this is where, and I bet it's the same one. This is
I hope
where
so.
this is where I think the show could potentially lose people that just want to watch another Sopranos. We are making a real big deal out of. There's a mystery box here. We're making a big deal out of, like, a literal box. There is a shipment of drugs coming in that is going to maybe revolutionize the drug business, and we're going to get away from drops because we don't have as much of that as we did, and it's hard to manufacture, and our plant's getting shut down, and the Penguin wants to get his hands on that and start it up, and I think it's Venom.
Oh, we do
Oh.
have the same theory.
Oh, okay. I think it's Venom,
Okay.
or I think it could be Venom. What is your theory?
Scarecrow. That's just because
Oh, sure, sure. Well, I think it could be either. It could go either way, and I think they could do Venom in this world without ever doing Bane.
I mean, I think we talked about this with the Batman. Like, the adrenaline thing could either just be adrenaline or set up for Venom.
Or set up for Venom. Yeah, that's part of why I was thinking that.
That's very true. I just really want Scarecrow, so my mind immediately went to, well, I hope this is leading to a Scarecrow. For
What if it's
Batman
both?
too.
What if it's fear toxin that gives you super strength?
What if Scarecrow
awesome.
comes out and he's this big friggin'
No!
He's like Titan Scarecrow.
Yeah.
He's like Joker at the end. Have you guys, hey, Robert? Because Robert and I are always talking about toys. We send each other pictures of new action figures all the time. It's like,
Yeah.
hey, you're gonna waste your money on this thing? I sure as hell am. Robert, have you seen the giant pop figure that's out for Titan Joker? Or no, is it Titan Bane? I think it's Titan Bane.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It's very goofy looking.
I want one.
I
Take
kind
my
of
fear toxin, Batman. That's the only way to beat me.
do too. Yeah. Well, everybody place your bets because there's no way they're making this big of a mystery out of it, and it isn't a comic book thing. I wouldn't think, and I think we should take equal bets on this. I think it's 50-50 shot, but I'm positive, Austin, it will be one of those two things. It's going to be Venom or it's going to be Scarecrow Toxin, and I think it could, because I wasn't even thinking Scarecrow Toxin. Sure, it could be either of those really easily, but it's going to be one of those two things.
I didn't have the thought about Venom, but that could also be what it is.
Or it has something to do with Poison Ivy, but probably not.
What if it's T and it's the Mad Hatter?
What? Tea? What?
Yeah, it's a special kind of tea drug.
No, it turns out it's not a drug
I'll
at
just
all.
call it
And he opens the box, and it's just little cards that you put in hats for mind control.
No, but they'll just call it tea, like just the letter T, and it's like we got a bunch of tea.
Yeah. Spill the tea.
We replace drops with, yeah, make sure you don't spill the tea.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Penguin sinks the boat, and he's like, "Welcome to the tea party, boys."
No.
If this is exactly what it is, I'm gonna fire you. from the channel. I can't have you predicting things that closely.
He already did that.
I was gonna. This will be like the
Human
Deadpool
Torch
3 thing when he was like, "Okay, so here's what's gonna happen."
Okay, so what will happen is that the new drug will be called Tea. It'll be run by the Mad Hatter,
That's
and
fantastic.
he will have a boat full of tea. And Sophia's like, I'm gonna get my tea. It's gonna be mine. And then all of a sudden, a big duckmobile rides up under the boat and hijacks the boat and kills Sophia Falcone. I always said Sophia Coppola. That'd be very different. That will be how the show ends.
Oh wow. Oh, okay. When do you think we'll get the shipment? Like, do you think that'll happen middle
it
of
could
the
be
show?
next episode, or it could be 6. I mean, I have no idea.
I'm gonna say like episode 6 or 7, and then that's gonna be
4.
my guess for that.
Well, what if what it is
54.
the mid-season cliffhanger?
Yeah.
They could open
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna
crate
say
at the
it's
end
4.
of 4.
Yeah.
Since we're on speculation, and Cap, since earlier you were talking about you don't know how this has 7 more episodes.
Yeah.
They've also been talking about doing a season 2, which I didn't expect.
Me
For the
neither.
longest time, I thought of this oh yeah, this is just gonna be a mini series. It's gonna be a one and done thing. So maybe it's just good enough that they looked at it and said, oh yeah, we could do a second season. But if there is a second season, and it bridges the gap from the second Batman movie to the third Batman movie, then we were joking about it earlier, but I do think that is when we get the Mayor Penguin stuff.
Oh,
If
absolutely.
this gets a second season, I think that's when we get him running.
But I also wouldn't assume
But
that
in the most
necessarily.
serious way, and it would be awesome.
I wouldn't assume that the second season would necessarily be a gap bridger, because you're going to have other shows also. So who knows when they'll each come out? It could come out even. I don't know. It's possible a second season of the show could come out just as the second movie is coming out, or just before it, or something.
That's true, but I heard a report, and this could be incorrect, so the Penguin picks up a week after the Batman, and I've heard that the Batman 2 picks up shortly after the events of the Penguin season 1, in that winter, because they've said that the Batman 2 is going to be a winter setting. That could be incorrect, but
Right.
that's what I've heard.
So I'm probably wrong, but even still, who knows when another show would come out? And if they could use it as a gap bridger, but they could use the other shows that way also. So I don't know.
I mean, the easy thing is it'll be 9 years between writing the Batman 2 and writing the Batman 3, so we can have multiple Penguin seasons.
That's true.
Between those two movies.
There's going to be so much stuff. Batman just won't be able to keep up with any of it. It'll be hilarious. It'll be great. We'll have his whole family, the whole Bat family will just appear in these shows, be developed in them before he ever meets any of them.
Where do you have Jason Todd, kind of?
Austin, part of the reason I'm kind of holding out for Venom, some of this is wishful thinking on my part, the same way that you have it with Scarecrow Toxin 2, because I really liked the injecting adrenaline thing at the end of the first movie, and I kind of want the second movie to maybe have him addicted to it. And if we had a shipment of it, then he'd have it everywhere. And the idea that he's trying to bust criminals that are fencing the thing that he's addicted to is a really cool idea for Batman.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And because we always go to Bane, it would be cool to see an adaptation of just Batman Venom.
Yeah.
That's a great book.
And I know I love Bane and you don't, but I don't need Bane in this world. I like the idea of just using the Venom toxin. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of other villains to explore that we haven't done or we haven't done well. And we haven't done Bane great in live action anyway.
Bane. Yes, that's my name.
But
well, then his show can be called L Bane.
Oh my god.
His show should be called "You Don't Know the Difference Between L and Lot."
That's a really long title. Well,
It's the subtitle.
Okay. It'll yeah. Well, I was gonna say that, or it should be called the You Don't Know the Difference.
No,
Between
no.
L.
The Bane doesn't know the difference between L and Law.
Or
There you go.
You do the Birds of Prey title thing where it's in parentheses, where it's the Bane parentheses
And the difference
between L and Law. Yeah.
And the
The Bane.
fantabulous difference between L and Law.
The Bane, or How I Learned the Difference Between L and Law.
That's print that. That's the right one. That's the proper one.
Okay, there is one thing that we haven't talked about.
Yeah, let's finish up. I don't know why I ever said an hour. That was dumb. We've been having fun talking.
Well, I mean,
But let's.
I don't know how they packed all this in an hour.
I don't either. I feel like we watched half a movie, or at least a third of a movie.
Okay.
This is just a treat, you guys.
The big thing that...
And what is with this year? Like, this has been the best year for media for me in like 6 or 7 years.
Well, and
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff.
who structured this show, like this episode, the Clock King? Because, like, yeah, it's just no second is wasted.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
You haven't even seen Dune 2.
I have not seen Dune 2, and everybody says it's wonderful, but I'm intimidated by Dune, so I haven't watched it yet.
I will say Dune 2, and I haven't even read the book. Dune 2 is way more straightforward than the first movie. Like,
Yeah.
you actually know what's happening.
Yeah, that's what.
Well, that's what the first movie is entirely plot setup, and the second movie is the story.
Yeah. But yeah.
Okay, but this show is making the Batman feel that way, and that's not even fair.
No.
Sorry, go ahead.
So yeah, the big thing, not the big thing, but the thing for me that we haven't talked about yet, that's one of my best things, is the score.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's so good.
It's really good, and I really like how kind of old school it is with like the call and response stuff, where it's like Penguin does a thing, and then there will be like, you know, when he's like looking through the files, and he like turns the file and it goes bring, and then he turns the file and it goes bring, like that's really cool.
Although it is
You know
weird
who
that
the
they
composer
scored
is.
the whole episode with a telephone. I'm not-
With Mario coin sound.
Yeah, that's right. Robert, you mentioned Hitchcock earlier. This is a Hitchcockian score.
Yeah, it is. Do you guys know who the composer is?
Yeah, it's it's the son of Giacchino.
Yep.
Who I didn't even
And
know
he's
was
good.
in music.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've ever heard of him.
But he's just as good, and Giacchino is hit and miss. But like, if you first of all, the score is as good as the movie, and second of all, and not exactly the same thing, but in line with it. And second of all, if you told me this was Giacchino, I would believe you.
Yeah.
It makes me want to make Jayson write a rewind, and just see if anybody could tell that it wasn't me.
Oh gosh. Maybe.
Write a
I mean,
rewind on this show.
I'm not that bad at writing.
Yeah, write one on this show. Well, he's got to wait 2 years. Write one on the Batman.
Yeah. I might. I mean, I could get a lot out of it because it's 3 hours. So like,
Yeah.
it would be better to get more out of it. I'm not saying I'm gonna do that, but
Oh, I would love to
it's
see you
possible.
do that.
It's possible.
The views.
I'm
My question for this, so Cap, you
Yes,
have
sir.
one on the Batman, Jason, you have one on the Penguin. What is the song choice for both of these rewinds that ultimately sums up you as a person?
What?
What?
Because the Batman has a song that sums up Batman in that movie, and this is a song that sums up the Penguin.
Oh well, for me, it's certainly not 9 to 5.
9 to 5. Yeah.
And you know what?
9 to
I've
5.
seen that done in things before, and it should feel redundant, but it doesn't. It just
No.
works in that.
It actually does work.
And it does the bookend thing. It's set up earlier, and then it comes back at the end.
Yeah.
It's great. Well, and
It's just his motivation.
it's
yeah.
a great thematic motif because all of this for the audience, if you're not, and there is a wall between the Penguin and us. We don't know exactly what he's going to do and what he's thinking, which really works. But like, if you're not at all in his head or thinking about things from his morality or lack thereof, you're thinking like, this is a as an inciting incident, this has got to be, the worst moment in this guy's life, and everything's coming crashing down. It's just another day at the office for him. And that's what that song represents. This is just how the man lives his life. Like, I love how everything just washes off his back. I mean, obviously there are stakes, and there are certainly scenes and moments where he's worried he's not going to get out of things, but that's every day for this guy.
No, and the Falcons sit up above him. They let him dream just to watch him shatter.
It's great.
Yeah, no, it's wonderful.
I'll get
And
back
it's a
to you on
better
what
song.
my song would be.
For this?
Oh, you know what? Actually, I have one and I can't reveal it because it's in my movie.
Oh.
Yeah,
It's Raining Men.
The Rewind movie actually has one.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to set the world on fire. Ink spots. I don't know.
Some men just don't want to watch the world burn.
Yeah, I don't know. That's like... And also, this did remind me of just Fallout in general, so... Yeah.
Oh, yeah. You're really on a kick with that.
I'm kind of... I was a little bit ago, but...
That's what being a teenager is like. Hey, could you rapid fire us some questions?
Oh my gosh.
Could you give us one?
Nicholas Bodo, how much of the score from the Batman is in this show?
So again, it opens with it, and then it transitions to the Penguin's main theme, his motif, and I don't think we'll hear it again because it's not the Batman anymore. There are, toward the beginning, there's a string thing that reminds me a lot of what we're doing with Catwoman in that movie and the kind of like throwback to Batman Returns, but it does not stick around. It's there right at the beginning and then it goes away.
It's definitely the Batman adjacent in how it sounds, while not using music specifically from that after the beginning.
And Nicholas Bodo also says, I hope we get the Court of Owls takeover from organized crime as this universe reaches its climax.
Can I just say I don't want that at all, and I really hope that doesn't happen. Just personally, I'm kind of sick of that. I'm kind of done with that. I don't, and like if they do it and it's great, awesome. But just at the moment, I'm really hoping that's.
Do you want Birds of Prey in this universe?
Well, I want Birds of Prey in every universe, but I'm hoping I want Birds of Prey in the MCU. Okay, I mean I want Birds of Prey.
Okay,
but I'm being facetious. Anyway, if we ever do Amalgam, the first thing I want is Birds of Prey. No, Austin, how do you feel about that? I really hope they don't go there.
Yeah, my thing with Birds of Prey.
The Court of the Birds of Prey.
With the Court of the Owls and Hush is I wonder if it's too redundant. Where it's like, oh, you learned that this guy secretly ran the city. Well, JK, it turns out these group of people run the city, and then with Hush, there's just too much of Hush built into Riddler. So they can make it work. I just wonder if it's maybe too redundant after that first movie. But I definitely would rather see other things. Give us a bit of the Victors instead.
Yeah, that's what's funny is I was expecting some Court of Owls setup in the first Batman movie, and there wasn't any. So I thought, oh, okay, we're probably not going to do Court of Owls. But based on Matt Reeves' comments about learning more about Gotham's history and conspiracies and pulling the curtain back more, it sounds like he's talking about Court of Owls. So yeah, I still have no idea what that second movie's going to look like.
To be fair, though, there is... So he's got a little bit of... Tell me if you agree with this, Austin especially, but he's got a bit of like a Sam Raimi Spider-Man approach with his Batman, where the stuff he likes to go to is decades ago, a lot of it. And he hasn't... Like, he's only made one movie, and this TV show just started, but like... He hasn't hit anything real recent yet. Like, his touchstones are '80s stuff. There's lots of conspiracy early Gotham going back to the 1800s, like Five Families, all of that, well before Court of the Owls. Like, just because he's talking about conspiracies does not mean we're going there.
I also think. Sorry, go ahead, Robert.
Oh yeah, this will be quick. Just to rebuttal that a bit, there is a lot of Earth One in that movie, and that's what, like 10 years ago. So like he was looking at everything.
I'm so old.
Yeah, there's stuff in that that
Maybe
reminds
there
me
is a
of
lot
Earth
of Earth
One. I was never convinced that it was directly influenced by that, but maybe. And it's been a long time since I've read that book, so
The Martha Arkham stuff, that's Earth One.
that's fair. Yep, that's true.
Yeah.
I
Well,
forgot
then
about
he
that.
like kind of goes to a Telltale thing, but improves it.
Yeah.
And then Alfred's kind of Earth One Alfred, but a lot more sensitive. But
Okay,
there's
yeah.
still a little.
He's like a
Alfred in there.
mix.
Yeah.
But I also feel like Earth One Alfred is what we tend to go to now. No, I also feel like he could also be taking things from the Court of the Owls and just sprinkling them into other things. Because, like I said, he takes a lot of Hush and puts him into the Riddler. So there is also a chance that he goes, okay, I want to do this villain. I don't know, Mr. Freeze, whoever. How can I take like elements of this and like work it into the story with him, as opposed to just using them? It's hard to say.
We need Dark
And
Knight
then-
Returns Alfred to become the standard.
Yeah.
When he's 90 years old.
Yeah, all the time.
And then
It just dies at the end of every movie.
Yeah.
and then Riddler flooding Gotham. That's from Zero Year, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, never mind. I forgot this. See, I just haven't watched this movie enough. Like, I keep forgetting.
Well,
things.
and
I'm
I
like, oh,
just
that's
really want.
Well, I'm being a hypocrite because I made the point, like, it's all this stuff from Batman's history going all the way back to more recently. And I
I mean,
forgot about the
that's true.
flood being in Ziri and all that. So he has looked at Snyder a little bit so that I can see Court of the... And you could do Court of the... There's a part of me, now that we're talking about it, that's like, well, maybe it would be nice for them to do that because they'll probably do it in a way I would like better than the comics. Because you could do a version of the Court of the Owls that didn't go to anything like a supernatural place. And, like, you wouldn't have to have Talon the way they do Talon in all of that.
Well, I would say the best example of how he's done it so far is just how he adapts Loeb, where he clearly loves Jeff Loeb, and Jeff Loeb was like his writing teacher or professor in school, and he takes so much from that material, and like none of it's straight. Like it's he takes like little aspects about it.
I'm sorry, Jayson.
And then I really want. And this is just me, but I really want Cassandra Cain in this universe.
You'll never get that.
Cool.
I know.
You'll get that in DC.
Because you'll get that in DCU.
Yeah.
Because I don't think... I mean, I was being silly when I said that about the Bat Family. This is going to be a loner singular Batman that will probably never have sidekicks and those in vigilante helpers. I wouldn't think.
You're probably right, because this is just going to be a trilogy. They've said that, which for me is a little disappointing. I wish this went to 4 or 5 movies. So as
You
just
have
a
to wait
trilogy,
20 years!
You're probably right, but I mean, Matt Reeves and Pattinson have both talked about Robin and being interested in tackling that character. So I don't know. I'd love to see it, but I don't know if we're going to get that. But I expect Robin and Batgirl and all that stuff in the DCU. So it'll be fine.
Well, yeah, and they'll already have like decades of history with that stuff, and you'll have a Robin that's already dead. And you'll have an Oracle in a wheelchair, and like all that stuff will have happened. You'll have a Red Hood that's like already with his outlaws. Like all of that stuff will have happened.
Okay, but I could see. Okay. Yeah.
Mark my words, the DCU will make a Red Hood and the Outlaws movie. Just watch, that's gonna happen.
I can't really see.
People
Robin...
love that thing.
Gunn loves it. There was a post.
Does he really?
There's a post where he was like, "These are like the 5 best books of New 52," and that was one of them. I was like, okay.
Sorry, is it?
I don't think I could. I can't really see a Robin in this universe just right off. Like I can see a Nightwing.
Just for the love of God, don't do Duke Thomas. That's all I'm asking.
No. They probably would too.
They gave us the signal. Don't do it. Just don't do it.
I could also see Stephanie Brown in this universe.
Spoilers.
Well, and
I could see the spoiler. I mean, I'm just saying.
HBO original series, The Spoiler.
The spoiler.
I can't wait for articles that say spoilers for the spoiler.
oh yeah, that'd be everywhere. And when Reeves and Pattinson were talking about Robin, they said that if they put Robin in the movies, that they wouldn't age him up. Like they'd want him to be 12 or 13, which I think would be interesting. I'd love to see that attempt, but I don't know if we'll get there.
Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it could happen. But they'd have to do that in the next movie. You'd hate for that to be in the last movie.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I say that. I guess it depends on how it works. Also, they're 3-hour movies, So
Right.
the next one could be 4. You don't know.
But then if you cast Robin in movie 2, movie 3 takes place 3 weeks later.
He's gonna be 40.
Only 8 years older.
Let me read the super chat from Stone Gassman real quick. Or I'm sorry, I have a chat moderator.
I do. You do.
That's,
Right here.
he's got a job, and he's got one job. He's gonna do it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jayson.
Well, I don't have one job. I also do this every once in a while.
Oh, okay. Sure.
Every once in a while. But yeah, we got $5 from Stone Gassman.
That was smooth, by the way. Like,
Oh,
you've
boy.
really nailed your delivery with the sign flip.
Yeah. He says, "Good evening, gents.
Hi.
I saw Mask of the Phantasm for the very first time over the weekend and loved it. Definitely a top 3 Batman movie for me. No excuse for wait."
Well, I'm glad you finally saw it. Yeah, absolutely. It is still, even after all of these Batman movies, it is still top 3.
Yeah.
I agree.
Well, I mean, maybe not.
I want to say
3.
top 3. I don't even know
Maybe not
what
top
the movies
3,
are now. There's some, but whatever it is, I will kick something off so that Mask of the Phantasm is still in the top.
For
3.
me, it is The Batman, Return of the Joker, Dark Knight.
Oh, Return of the Joker.
Yeah. I
Is
love
that
Return
high?
of the Joker.
Wow.
The Batman, Mystery of the Batwoman,
Stop it.
and
And Sub-Zero.
I forgot.
yeah, that's like 5th. Yeah.
I forgot about that other thing that I'm gonna fire Austin over. Either he has too eerily specific of a prediction for the Batman movie, or he puts Mystery of the Batwoman in his top 3.
Okay, my eerily close prediction for the Batman 2 is that Scarecrow and Killer Croc are the main villains, and it's the greatest thing ever made.
And
Harley
Joker
Quinn
just
shows
never
up in-
shows up again.
No, Joker shows up and he's like, "This is my Harley Quinn," and then Killer Croc eats her, and then I never have to see her again.
No, Joker is like, it's like the Penguin where we're setting up Joker and then he just dies 10 minutes in the Batman 2.
See, what's impossible for top 3 for me is I feel like obliged to put 89 in it and obliged to put Mask of the Phantasm in it, and then Begins. But I'm like, the Batman is really, really good, and I want it in my top. There's not enough slots. Like, it's not fair. It's like my brain just explodes. So 5 is easy because then I just got the Batman of the Dark Knight. Now I got my 5. But like 3, ugh.
What about Return of the Cape Crusaders?
And see, yeah,
It's good.
and then
It's not top 3.
No, I tear up every time I see that movie. I really do. I don't, sorry, I just do.
That was the complete look of disgust from Jason.
What?
It's too
man.
nostalgic. It's so good.
No, that makes sense. It's just not. It's one that I don't see that often. Like you say it's great, and then I've seen it once in my entire life.
Yeah, and Under the Red Hood is also top 5 for me.
But yeah, Under the Red Hood is also great. One of the better Batman animated movies.
There's too many good Batman movies. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I can do like top 3 live action Batman movies. Like that's pretty easy.
My head just exploded trying to do that.
But throwing animated movies in there makes it even crazier.
There are some good ones.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Do we have any other questions we really need to hit?
Nope, I don't think so.
Well, why don't you scroll through real quick and make sure?
Yeah, I did.
Okay. You got that? You got 2 jobs.
Right.
One of them,
I did
is like throughout, and then one of them is that one time
Yeah.
at the beginning. Hey, anything else you guys want to bring up real quick?
It's a really good show.
Look at Joe.
It's so good. Like it is nigh perfect. I mean, it's one of the best pilots I've ever seen. Pilots, first episodes.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait for episode 2, which we have a longer wait for.
Oh, really? It's not the very next week?
So it is, but they're moving to Sundays moving forward. So it's like, it's not exact.
It'll be this Sunday.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's really fun about it right now is I don't know what the show is. You mean like I can't track I can't get a good sense of what the structure of the whole story is going to be and what the relationship with him and that kid is going to like. I can't track it.
Well, when Austin,
Do you think that's a good thing?
Yes. No, it's just awesome. Here's my look of disgust at you. Obviously, because. Because
going into a full domestic.
Because I can't wait to find out what'll happen.
Yeah.
So it's very exciting.
Also, that wasn't actually a look of disgust. I didn't.
Neither was mine.
No, it wasn't. I don't know what that was.
Sorry, what were you saying, Robert?
Oh, one thing me and Austin were talking about in the other review we did, though, just speculating.
It's objectively a better review, I'm sure.
It's a little shorter. It seems
Content.
like we're going to get a Penguin Sophia team up for a bit, but then I think by the end of the season, like, she is the big bad of the show.
Oh,
I think they're rivals again. And what makes me sad is she probably doesn't survive the show and never gets to meet Batman. And that would be a bummer.
That would be a bummer for that actress, because she's like, I always wanted to be a Batman villain. It's like, well, you're going to be a Penguin villain?
I just want to see her and Pattinson, like, eye act off of each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if Batman does show up toward the end of this for any amount of time, it will be to get to tangle with her for a minute, probably. And so it's possible you could have your cake and eat it, too, where at least... Like, she doesn't make it through the show, but she does get to fight Batman for a minute. That could happen, I guess. I still don't think he'll actually be in this.
At this point, I don't think he will be, but I would love it if he shows up, if the show earns it.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Nicholas Bodo, do you guys agree with me that Falcone the Batman is a way more evil version of Max Schreck as the role of the real monster?
I'm Bruce Wayne. Why are you dressed up like Batman?
Why are you dressed like him?
That's a
no.
great impression. Why are you dressed like Batman?
Because everybody knows Falcone's a mob boss. It's just a corrupt enough city that he can get away with pretending like he's legitimate. Everybody knows that he's not. Like Max Schreck is thought of as a philanthropist. Yeah. So that it's I get like sort of a similarity, but like not really.
Max Schreck.
So I'm gonna say yes in terms of structure, which is what I assume that he meant, which is more so just that, like you said, like the whole kind of real monster thing, where like he's kind of the big villain at the end of the day, like ties everything together.
Oh, Nicholas Moto says we talked about this in the commentary. I don't even remember
that. They are both violent toward women. That's a thing they have in common.
But like, I don't think he means literally. I think he just means like his purpose in the story.
That makes sense. It's Max Schreck is just really funny to me.
I'll throw her out a taller window.
Like that is the best thing about Batman Returns.
Is Max Schreck?
Is Max Schreck.
It's the only movie that I've ever heard the word baubles in.
They're gonna say that in this.
Hey Sophia, how do you like this? It's Alberto's hand.
Yeah, Nicholas Bono, I have not been able to go back to that movie as much as I'd like, and so I just wasn't even thinking about that conversation that Austin and I had.
This isn't important, but the actor who plays Alberto, I just found out, is 45, and I think that's insane.
God, really?
He's quite a bit older than he's like 2 years younger than Colin Farrell and quite a bit older than Sophia's actress. I think that's insane.
No, that's shocking. He looks like he's 30.
I thought he was like 20.
Yeah.
Wow.
He doesn't look that young, but he looks maybe 28, 30. Like, whack.
Got
Well,
some Pattinson juice.
I also don't know if Vic how old he's supposed to be, because I know the actor's in like his late 20s, but like he could be 16, he could be 22. I don't know.
Well, guys, we better get going. Sorry for keeping you up so late, Jason.
That's alright.
I'm a really terrible father. We're learning more and more. Let Jason watch the
Robert.
show. Kept him up too late.
Well, I love that for the past year you've been like, I don't think I could show Jason Daredevil, and then you keep showing him these progressively more adult things in Daredevil.
Well, to be fair, he's progressively getting more adult. I mean,
That is how aging works, Robert.
I don't have to explain myself to you, but I do feel self-conscious about it.
What are you showing your kid here, Batman?
Yeah, don't show him violent television shows. Just have him take Spanish, then he'll know what the difference is between L and La. Anyway, appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thank you guys for being here, even Robert.
Yeah.
We never did solve the riddle of why he's here.
Nope.
He added flavor.
I like something.
Thanks, everybody.
All right.
Appreciate you. I was Captain Logan. This was Jason, and then we had Austin the Day Ghost and Robert. Why Am I Here Wild? And we will see you again real soon with more fun streams that will be longer than they need to be here on Geekvolution. Goodbye, everybody.
See ya.